Let's now shift our attention to the United States. Of late, there have been some damning allegations made against US President Donald Trump, citing several present and former senior officials in the White House. American media reports have said that Donald Trump's conversations with world leaders pose serious security risks and often go against the country's national interest. John Bolton, Rex Tillerson, James Mattis and John Kelly are just some of the key officials who have come out in the open against the president. The attack on Trump has been majorly substantiated by hundreds of highly classified phone calls involving the president, as well as foreign heads of state and heads of government. Carl Bernstein, the legendary reporter who broke the Watergate scandal, has now published an insightful report in this regard. The report cites multiple sources based in the White House and within the US intelligence community. According to Bernstein, an examination of these phone calls of the president showcase how underprepared he was for discussions with foreign leaders. The report in particular talks about Trump's conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The report mentions how Trump was often outplayed by Vladimir Putin and how he was often browbeaten by Erdogan. Criticizing Trump further, sources say that there was little evidence that Trump had become more skillful or competent over time. Rather, the US president continued to project overconfidence about either charming or bullying foreign leaders. As per the report, these phone calls made officials conclude that the president was, and I quote, delusional. Some were even convinced that the president himself posed a danger to national security as to how he dealt with leaders from ally nations. The report presents a completely different picture. Here, Trump regularly appears to bully and demean women leaders. This includes his phone calls with German Chancellor Angela Merkel and former UK Prime Minister Theresa May. The report alleges that during one of his phone calls with May, Trump said that she was weak and lacked courage. German Chancellor Merkel, on the other hand, was called, and I quote, stupid by Trump. Citing sources, Bernstein says that during such talks, Trump boasted about his personal achievements while bashing former presidents. Dismissing the report, the White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Matthews has said that the president was a world-class negotiator who has consistently furthered American interests on the world stage. The US president has been losing his base for quite some time now. His approval ratings have fallen drastically, and now this report certainly holds the potential to further damage Trump's re-election prospects. And for more details on this, Nick Harper gets us this report from Washington, D.C.
Nothing from the president yet on this damning portrait of how he has reacted and acted during those phone calls, hundreds of them having been collated, put together and given to this news outlet and collated by Carl Bernstein, the famous Watergate journalist who back in the 1970s uncovered the Watergate scandal that brought down the Nixon administration. But certainly this is a damning portrait showing a president who is underprepared but also outmaneuvered when he has these phone calls with foreign leaders. Now, this has been put together over many months by several different sources within the White House. They haven't been named, but it shows that he goes into these conversations with an inability to be able to negotiate in the highest form of diplomacy that he must when he speaks to these world leaders. So just to give you a few examples of where they're saying he had difficulties, saying that he was consistently underprepared for discussion on serious issues, that he was often outplayed in conversations, in particular with those leaders like Vladimir Putin and Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, and also that he was abusive to leaders who in theory should be allies of the US, like the UK and Germany. The fact that they feel that he is a national security threat, the fact that they feel that he's delusional, oftentimes veering off into attacking his predecessors, President Obama and President Bush, but also boasting about his own achievements, boasting about his own personal wealth as well. It very much shows a portrait of a man who isn't able to negotiate with world leaders in a way that he should, considering the fact that he is the President of the United States.